joining us online, you are also part of Brilliant Minds. Brilliant Minds discuss what? Brilliant Minds discuss matters. Weaker Minds discuss people, right? So we're here to discuss matters, and that's why all of us in this room and those joining us online are Brilliant Minds. We are joined by a number of people in this room, but amongst the people that have joined us, we actually have our guest speaker, and that is Mrs. Rachel Kumenda Kaunda. Just stand up and wave at the crowd to see you. Allow me to introduce our guest speaker in detail now. Rachel is a 2025 Mandela Fellow at Alabama A&M University under the business track. She is the founder and manager of DroneLink, a Lilongwe-based startup that uses drones and data technology to support agriculture, mining, disaster response, health, and environmental management. And beyond that, Rachel co-leads OpenStreetMap Malawi, promoting open source mapping for disaster resilience, and her work bridges technology with real-world impact, and she's currently leading a project that leverages drones and AI to assess plant and soil health for climate-resilient agriculture. Another big hand for Rachel. Atsikana muli uno mamba mako ledzioto. Aeto. Kazakwitana nosangoti wakuti amadziwa kuphoda, wakuti amaniyaye. Pazikangini ngati mene. Now, we're also deeply honored to have Mr. Graham Chipande. Could you also just stand up and wave at the crowd? Mr. Chipande is a seasoned development leader and policy expert with vast experience in public sector leadership, governance, and sustainable development. He has dedicated his career to strengthening Malawi's growth trajectory, advocating for policies that empower communities, entrepreneurs, and young innovators that I see in front of me. His perspective on the intersection of policy, innovation, and entrepreneurship will inspire and challenge all of us here in this room and those following online to think differently about Malawi's future. Another big hand for Mr. Chipande. Now, before we go to the next phase, allow me to invite Mr. Francis Massey, who is the manager for UNIPOD, to give us his opening remarks. Mr. Massey.
I was thinking he's going to introduce me as well. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, our distinguished guests, colleagues, innovators, and everyone present here, as well as those that have joined us online. On behalf of the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences and the UNIPOD team here, I warmly welcome you all to the second edition of the UNIPOD Talk Series. We are delighted to see such a vibrant gathering of minds brought together by a shared passion for innovation, creativity, and building solutions that matter. The UNIPOD Talk Series was established mainly to provide a platform for thought-provoking conversation with the industry leaders, innovators, and change makers. Our goal is simple, but yet it's quite ambitious: to inspire, to challenge, and to empower our university community and the wider community and beyond. The success of our first inaugural session, which happened should be August 29, showed us that the hunger that exists for this conversation, looking at the thought-provoking conversation we had with both the audience as well as the guest we had in the previous session. And today we build on that momentum. The session for this month is Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Building Malawi's Future. Could not only be brought now, but it's brought at a timely order. It reflects our belief that the ideas we nurture today will form the foundations of tomorrow's enterprises, industries, and solutions for our country and the continent. I want to thank our special guests, Mr. Graham Chipanda and Mrs. Rachel Kumwenda Kaunda, for accepting our invitation to share the journey and insights with us on our theme for this month. Your presence here is quite valuable contribution to this growing platform. Finally, to all the participants, I encourage you to listen, to ask questions, and mostly smile. You need to smile. This event is not a formal event. We need to relax, ask questions, and make sure that we get one or two things from this meeting today. And what's important also is what we learn, we need to make sure that we apply it wherever we go. In class, some of us maybe are building up startups, maybe some of us are facing some challenges. You never know. One of your challenges, you might find the solution today. So let's be attentive and listen to what our guests have brought for us. I think I shouldn't take much time. Looking at the time we have, I'll hand it over to the MC, but thank you for listening.
Another big hand for Mr. Massey. And of course, a big hand for UNIPOD for the very wonderful job that they are doing. As I stated earlier, we've got a number of events and activities this afternoon. We will have a fireside chat with our guest speaker, but also our guest of honor, and together, the two of them brings a wealth of experience and vision to the very important conversation that we are going to have this afternoon, which is on entrepreneurship and innovation. And of course, we're also going to have the Spin to Win giveaway, where a number of people are going to walk away with fabulous prizes. But right about now, allow me to invite our guest of honor, Mr. Graham Chipande, to give us a speech. A big hand for Mr. Chipande again.
Thank you very much, Bester. Good afternoon. I know I'm going to be very unpopular. I'm standing here in between you guys and a whole long weekend ahead of you. So I'm going to try and keep my that you'd look for like that, but really the minds and the knowledge that we used here. And there's so many things that we've lost these days in terms of the power of education, how we use our minds, and how we connect. And that's when I began to see her excitement. Because when you've got a space like this that allows you to unlock creativity, unlock those ideas, really you can unleash that potential. I want to spend a little bit of time just to talk to you about the initiative around Timbuktu and why UNDP spent time to invest in spaces like this. Because I was also quite shocked to say, look, we're kind of going through some tough times economically. Why would you come and put a space like this here in Malawi and invest all this money, because it was the second, I believe, in Africa that they'd invested in. And they chose to come and put it here in Malawi. And they said, because of the hard-working spirit of entrepreneurship and ingenuity and creativity that we see. And in my job at the bank, somebody was asking me to say, you know, what is it exactly that you do at the bank? And I'll get into that in a little bit. But working with entrepreneurs, and I think, you know, when he was giving the introduction earlier on about working with policymakers and trying to shape the future, it's really that excitement that we get to see from people like you here, right? Who've got ideas, who want to see a better future, who want to change things. And like Mansa Musa, believe that we can be again, you know, a continent of greatness. I'm not going to do the Wakanda salute, I promise, but I hope you guys get the idea. So how many of you guys have heard of a material called Teflon? All right, one again. I'm going to have a word with the principal, by the way. I know Madam Nancy very well, so I'm going to say, hey, these guys, what are they learning? But who knows the origin of Teflon? Do you know where it came from? Okay, so Teflon, we all enjoy non-stick foods. Non-stick pans is what it's applied to, right? But Teflon came from wanting to stop astronauts from burning alive when they re-entered space. Did you know that? So the stuff that we use on frying pans, cooking pots, Rachel's nodding along like, oh, really? But that stuff really came through from wanting to stop astronauts from burning alive when they were re-entering space. So they created Teflon that they put on tiles, and that's the black material that you see on the underside of the space shuttle that stops it from burning into a crisp, but also stops your eggs and bacon from getting stuck to the pan when you're coming through. And the reason why I bring that story up is it came through as a mother of necessity, right? And that's where inventions come from. And when you look at our society, I was very privileged when I looked around and saw all the different things that you guys are doing for, you know, different organizations, applying them to industry, because we've had to reverse engineer and solve some of these things. And especially now in Malawi, where we're at a pivotal moment where people are saying, look, we need to be able to take our future back into our own hands. We want to see a better Malawi for ourselves. It really lies with us to start saying, how are we going to solve those problems? Because nobody is coming, right? We were very generous that wonderful people like Madam Ohuna had the time, the passion, and the creativity to come and give this wonderful gift. But really, this wonderful gift is what you guys will make of it with the passion that you share here. So let me get back to what the boss said I should talk to you about, because he was actually supposed to be here, our CE, Philip Madinga. Unfortunately, he's traveled, but he asked me to extend his warm regards and start to tell you a little bit more around why it is that we're here and took time to come and spend time at the UNIPOD. So innovation is the engine of growth and national development, and that's why for me, as somebody who gets paid to drive Malawi's growth, there's nowhere more important that we could be than here this afternoon with you today. And across the world and right here in Malawi, we've seen how fresh ideas, when they're supported, can be able to transform entire sectors. You know, from the famous windmill story, we've all heard about the boy who harnessed the wind, or at least seen the movie on Netflix. I've seen people trying to make improvements on that. I don't know how many of you have heard about the HiFlex emergency device, again, created by a Malawian, or our very own Rachel here, who's bringing innovation to the agricultural sector and trying to improve things through precision agriculture. I've got to say, Rachel, I was kind of flat when you didn't show up on a drone or at least a hoverboard. But maybe I was also low-key jealous because it seems like you're a celebrity around here. Ed? Everybody knows you and waves at you. But next time, please do better, at least a young skateboard. But the reason why for us I'm excited to be here, and when you talk about things like Madam Ohuna, the passion that they have, and the transformative things that they want to do here, it's a big dream because when they talk about creating 1,000 unicorns, who knows what a unicorn is? Not that magical creature that they put on little girls' bags, but who knows what a unicorn is in tech startup terms? I'm looking around at the people in the back now. Who knows what a unicorn is? Somebody's whispering. Drew, you wrote your name on your hat. You're making it too easy for me to pick on you. Do you know what a unicorn is?
Okay. Okay. From what I know is a unicorn in terms of startup is a company that is doing, we can say, like special things or like inventions in another sector that are dramatically changing the world. So like in a case they can be generating like a lot of revenue in that area. For example, in AI, we can say like open AI is a unicorn in that sector.
Thank you very much. Let's give a big hand to my friend. Drew, you should give him your hat. He bailed you out. But a unicorn, especially as we also measure it in the money world, is a business that generates and is worth now over $1 billion in revenue, right? $1 billion. So that's real money. You know, in Malawi, we've got 2 homegrown businesses that are worth over $1 billion. Who can guess what they are? FTH, well done. One else? No? I'll qualify that in a minute before I get in trouble. The other one? Okay, so it's 2 entrepreneurs. Mr. T.F. Mpinganjira, son of the soil, but also one Hitesh Nadkat, the owner and founder of First Capital Bank. So those guys, legit, from scratch, started up a business, now worth over $1 billion, and they get their flowers. When you look at market capitalization on the stock exchange, you'll understand where we all measure up and rank against each other, and that will qualify how the rest of it gets put together. But those are 2 unicorns that we can be able to point to. And those guys are responsible for thousands of livelihoods within Malawi, but also thousands more through the different philanthropic ventures, football teams that they sponsor, and many other things that they've invested in. Now, just imagine how we could transform this country if we have unicorns in the entertainment industry, in manufacturing, in agriculture, and we start to have those billion-dollar startup businesses that come and work here. Those million jobs that we talk about can be created and come from right where? Right here amongst you guys. And that's why for me, it's important, because I want to be there and remind you when you make those $1 billion to say, please, bring them to Standard Bank, right? Not those other ones that I mentioned earlier on. We've given them their flowers. So, why is it that I do at the bank? And somebody asked me when I was on my way here, and I thought I better come up with an answer that makes sense, right? Because these are smart people. So I'm the head of business and commercial banking. And what that means I do in posh language is I sit on the bank's country leadership council, and we translate the board strategy into actions through products, services, and things like that that we offer to small and medium-sized companies, large local corporates, but we also have a couple of other functions, including the Puka Incubator, where we also look after partnerships and innovation, and that's why I'm here. But in short, and the reason why I talk to you about the Puka Incubation Hub and the partnerships business that we do, in tandem with the services that we offer to small and medium-sized businesses, large local corporates and trans-regional businesses, is because we've seen that as financial services, we've got that duty to bridge the gap, right, between people with ideas and people with money. Because we've got one thing in common. We're all trying to solve challenges for the communities that we operate in. And that's where inventions come from, right? From the engineers trying to stop astronauts burning down to the cooks trying to stop their eggs to sticking from a plant. They were all trying to solve a challenge unique to that community that they serve. But how those all got together and discovered you can use this same material to apply to this other area is through interactions like this. And that's why, for me, it's very important that you guys have a space like this and you can be able to contribute in a way like that. And I must say that it's a long time since I've actually been on a campus like this. I must have been 20 years younger, 20 kilos lighter, but I've seen the hairstyles still haven't changed. So I'm, feeling right at home. And why I'm excited again to be back here on campus and see you guys learning and to be part of this particular discussion is that through your stories and through innovations like we hear about from people like Rachel, and there are stories that we try and tell through the We Believe in Malawi campaign and the Puka Awards, you learn that success comes from many failures, right? And I can see Rachel sitting there saying, oh boy, yes. And I'm sure she'll share with you more of those when it comes to the fireside chats. But success also comes from sticking to it, right? And that's why this space here is created, for you guys to be able to prototype. When we walked around and looked at the labs, we saw many pieces of things that were broken and the ones that worked, right? And the reason why spaces like this are created is that there'll be 1,000 ideas that might fail, but the two that make it could just be those unicorns that transform into billion-dollar companies and start doing some of the things that we talk about there. So to all of you here as now young innovators, students, and the people that are partnering with you to help to drive innovation, I want to leave you just with a few reflections as I leave. Take risks, right? Every breakthrough begins with courage. And for all of those people who, took a leap of faith and tried all of those things, and, even all those innovators that we talked about, they were laughed at, right? They were ridiculed by their friends. And there's many stories of innovators who'll tell you, no, do something easy, go get a job, go do that. But take risks, innovate, and think outside of the box. And that's why you've been provided with a safe space and an investment like this one to help you to take risks. At the bank, we try and say, maybe we avoid risk. But avoidance of risk isn't a strategy. And that's why we've partnered in spaces like this, so that we can learn alongside you. We can start to understand some of the risks, but also work together with other partners, such as UNDP, the Zanchito program, but even Growth Accelerator, to help us manage some of those risks and give you access to tools that can help you take off on your entrepreneurial journey and partner you with other people. Embrace technology. It's a great equalizer for all of our time. And I can promise you, I see 80-year-olds who are much handier with an iPhone than some of us who maybe just know how to take pictures and update Instagram. But embrace technology, and I think the massive investment that's been made here, I've seen there's an AV lab there where you can even look at computer gaming. But do you know that you can be able to look at innovations including 3D surgery? You can help folks across the medical college to pioneer new techniques in brain surgery and look at how we can be able to treat other things. I was told that you're missing, some other parts to look at how it is that you can look at producing the parts of the right composition, but you need chemists to help you with that. How is it that we're collaborating across those different industries? And I'm sure when Rachel tells you that, she spends flying drones around with farmers, some of you might scratch your heads and think, how do you farm with a drone? I was also curious, but very well. So as I understand, just don't try and put it into the manure pit. That doesn't work too well. Be resilient. I already shared with you that every success story doesn't come overnight. They'll tell you of 1,000 failures, right? And I think, was it Thomas Edison who said, I didn't have 1,000 ways of failing. I figured out 1,000 ways of how not to do it, right? And found, the one that worked. So be resilient. When you encounter those challenges and some of those things, support each other, be able to critique each other, provide those kind of perspectives, and then get up and go again. But most importantly, focus on impact and create solutions that matter to people and improve lives. Because if the solution that you're creating doesn't matter to people or improve lives, it's not going to make you money. It's not going to make the world change, and it's not going to make people around the world sit up and remember your name when you're gone. But if you're focused on what impact that you can have, and that's why it's unique that you're here, you're experiencing the challenges that we're going through as a country. How is it that you can play your role? Because remember what I said, nobody is coming, and you guys are actually the future leaders of this world. So in Africa, yeah, so if you guys are looking at us thinking, no, these guys have got it sorted, we know that you guys are the future leaders. That's why we're investing, and we're depending on you to make sure that this world is left even in a better space for our children and your children that we leave behind. I'll close maybe with this call to action. Don't let your ideas remain on paper. Use spaces like UNIPOD to leverage programs like I've talked about, including Growth Accelerator, and seek partnerships with banks. We were told earlier on about the many different partners that are coming through to look at how it is that you can work together. Start to think ideas around what is it that people are struggling about. There I've seen you printing or 3D printing ATM spares. That's a big struggle. How many of you hate getting stuck at the ATM in line when there's no cash, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a big bull for us because it costs us money to keep you guys standing in line. So if we found a way to solution for that through innovations like this in industry, you bet we'll pay for it. We've just had some students from Must who spent some weeks with us creating some code and different solutions for us, including, how many of you followed the annual general meeting? Very boring, don't worry. I had to be there because it's work. But the annual general meeting, it's an opportunity for shareholders, the people who employ us, to vote, pass legislation, and tell us how we run the country. So they also get to do that. And the system that ran that general meeting was developed by students at Must. Many of the innovations and things like those that they're doing for us, including things that are helping us with practical impacts. So start to look around at the companies that you see, people that you meet in different industries. What is it that you're struggling with? With this kind of Forex, what are you struggling to import? Is there a way that we can reverse engineer it? Can we talk to the other people in the other faculties and start to think about how we break these challenges down? Your bold ideas, your creativity, your determination, those are the keys for us to unlocking a better Malawi that's improved for us all, and a more prosperous Malawi that includes growth that we can all enjoy. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Thank you very much for having me here, and I look forward to catching up with you all a bit later on. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chipande. And now we head to one of our exciting events this afternoon, which is our Fireside Chat, where we, I'm not saying I, but we are going to have a chat with Madam Rachel Kaunda. As I said earlier, she's got a lot of interesting stuff to share that actually is going to inform our conversation this afternoon. Once again, let me welcome Mrs. Rachel Kaunda in front. A big round of applause for Mrs. Kaunda. I don't even know where to start from. She's wearing so many hats, so I don't know where I'm even going to start from. But I guess before we get into the actual serious business, for the sake of motivating our girls right in the audience, but others also following us online, I just want you to take us through your education journey. Not only inspiring the girls, my members of that Zorakazafuna Gutenga, Sima Ugadenga Bansige. I'm speaking from experience. Now, take us through your education journey.
Thank you so much. Really honored to be here with you today. So my education, I can start from my college. I did a Bachelor of Science in Earth Sciences at Malawi University, Chancellor College. After then, I did a certificate in drone and data technology with the African Drone and Data Academy.
Wow. Right. Now, it tells me here that you've been recognized as a 2025 Mandela Fellow. I, for one, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience, I would like to know about this fellowship. What is the Mandela Fellowship?
So, Mandela Washington Fellowship is a U.S. State Department program that invites young Africans all over Africa. So it's a very competitive fellowship. They select 600 people from Africa, and they get over 50,000 applications. So it's a very competitive fellowship, but they have 3 tracks: the business, leadership in business, civic and public management. So I was able to be one of the 16 fellows from Malawi under the leadership in business to participate in this fellowship, to go to the US and under Alabama A&M University for 6 weeks to learn about business, how business is done in America, and how I can incorporate some of the business strategies that are done in America here in Malawi.
Wow, 50,000 applications, and you get to be one of the people who've been picked. A big hand, come on, a big hand. 50,000 is a job. Right, now, I would be interested to know, those following online and other people here in the audience would like to know, to say now, this Nelson Mandela Fellowship, how did it shape your perspective on innovation and entrepreneurship, especially in Malawi?
Okay, so the fellowship, because it was specifically for business, they had programs that would help us build our businesses. So we had opportunities to visit businesses in America, and most of the businesses that we visited were family businesses, and this is something that was not new but not very common in Malawi. I got to learn how people maintain businesses for generations to generations. And that's something that motivated me to, something that I thought of when I come back at home. I also have to involve my family in building this business so that it maintains for generations to generations. It just doesn't have to end with me, but also with other generations. And for the businesses that I also saw in America, they built businesses specific to their country. There are challenges in America, there are also challenges in Malawi. But if we look at building solutions specifically for our country, we build solutions that people are going to easily buy, and we are going to easily sell our solution to Malawians. So that's also something that I learned, building something uniquely to Malawi.
You are the founder of DroneLink. Before I even go further to ask you what prompted you to start DroneLink, but just take us through, what is DroneLink?
So DroneLink is a startup, a Malawian startup based in Lilongwe. What we do, we use drones and digital technologies in different sectors to help solve a variety of societal challenges. We're in different sectors, including mining, agriculture, and environmental management. So we use drones to collect land information. Many of you know maps, right? For a long time, the map that we know is what we've been given, like the map of Malawi, like the map of Africa. So a map helps you to see what is on the land. Like you can tell where oceans are and how big the area, like how big Malawi is because of a map. So now, because of technology, we are able to do our own maps digitally. So we use the drones to create maps, and these maps help different sectors, including mining, agriculture, and environmental management, and other sectors as well. So at DroneLink, we specifically do this in our sectors, and we help people to make informed decisions, and also we help them to know what is on the land in real time. So in real time, in the sense that the map that was taken several years ago and what is on ground now is different. For example, the roads that we have now were not there several years ago. So with a drone, you're able to see what is there currently. So that's what we do. And we also do analysis. So the analysis component is interpreting the data that we have collected for our different clients. So we also do trainings. We train kids in coding and robotics. We partner with schools, we teach them coding and robotics.
Sounds like a company that's doing quite a lot, right? Now I'm interested, what prompted you to start DroneLink?
When I was studying in the university, we had a course called GIS, Geographic Information System. Yes, so this course introduced me to satellite imagery. So we're using satellite imagery to map minerals in Malawi under my course. So after I graduated, I saw an opportunity with African Drone and Data Academy. And when I saw that opportunity, I applied for it. I was working at that time with a mining company. After I applied for the opportunity, I learned how people are using drones in different sectors. And because I was in the mining sector, I looked around and saw a gap in the mining sector, data gap. People were using traditional methods of land surveying, which were very costly and labor intensive. And I thought of using drones to minimize these challenges. So that's when I registered the business. After I graduated at the African Drone and Data Academy, I registered the business in 2021, August. But I was still working at that time. Yeah, so that's where Droning was born. And I later on decided to leave my job and focus on the business.
Now that takes me to the next question to say, as a young entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, what were some of the challenges that you faced breaking into Malawi's high-tech industry?
So there were so many challenges that I faced. To start with, when I was starting, like I said, I registered the business because I saw a gap, but I didn't have the drones. So I used to hire drones for me to be able to do the work. And because I didn't have enough money, drones are very expensive, I didn't have enough money to purchase the drones. So I had a financial challenge. And moving forward, I saw an opportunity with the growth accelerator. So because I had registered my business and I had started some work with it, I was able to apply for the growth accelerator to help me with financing. So I was successful in the application, and I got $40,000 to help me purchase drones and other high processing laptops and everything to help build the business. So even though I faced a challenge, I didn't focus on the challenge that I was facing, but I looked around and see what I had. And I also looked for opportunities. So I would advise people to not look at the problems that you have now, but look at possible solutions to the problem that you have. Don't just sit, but you can start working with what you already have in your hand.
Now, despite having a mining background, which also I believe is a premise on which you founded DroneLink, but DroneLink is involved in not only mining, but also agriculture, disaster response, health and environmental management. We would be interested to know which area has shown the greatest demand or potential for impact in Malawi among the areas that I've mentioned.
Yeah, so we started with mining, but we transitioned to now agriculture and environmental management because a lot of our economy depends on agriculture, and there are a lot of farmers in Malawi who are currently facing so many challenges in farming that technology can help to solve. So we saw an opportunity in agriculture, and also we saw an opportunity in environmental management. Because the drones can help tell which plants are affected by diseases and which ones are not. We saw it that we can help to solve the challenge that we have been facing in Malawi in terms of farming. We had over 400,000 farmers that were affected by 4 armyworms. And this challenge made farmers to lose their crops. So you can imagine that people were depending on the farms. They were depending on the crops to support their family and also to make an income. But because of just 4 armyworm, which was difficult for them to control, they end up losing their crop yield. So we saw that this challenge we can help to mitigate and solve. And also because Malawi heavily depends on agriculture.
Okay, now, next, audience sama ndalama. Do now? Ami sama ndalama I make kono. Hey, I know you now. Okay, now, why I'm saying that is how do you balance, in what you do at DroneLink, how do you balance profitability and social impact? You want to make money, yes, but you also need to make a social impact. How do you balance the two?
So for us, since we started, we've always had people in mind. People first and then money later. So when we are developing our business model, when we are developing our solutions, we always first look at how do we benefit people with our solution. So this is also why we gravitated towards agriculture, because we are looking at feeding the nation. And we are not only helping farmers, but we're also making money out of it. So when you have in your mind, when you have people first, the solution that you are going to do is definitely going to have an impact, because you already have people in your mind. So even though you are going to make money, but you are also going to help people. In my company, I was also looking at creating employment opportunities. So every day when I think about my business, I want to grow it. I want to make money, not just for me, but also to make other lives better. I also want to help other young people to help their lives and their families. So when you have people first in your mind, it helps you to create solutions that people are also going to buy. You're also going to make money, but you're also helping people in the end.
All right, our theme for this month, or the theme for this event is entrepreneurship and innovation, building Malawi's future. I know we have UNIPOD, and one of the very remarkable roles that it's playing is that. But now, coming from the horse's mouth, I would like to hear from you, what role should universities play in actually fostering entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystems in Malawi?
Yeah, I think universities have an upper hand when it comes to entrepreneurship, because universities have researchers. So if we are building a product that has been, if you are trying to use a product that has been approved, it's going to be easy for you to make money out of it, because you've already proven that product. So I believe that universities have brilliant minds, but we need to commercialize the ideas. We have brilliant ideas, but we need to commercialize the ideas and make businesses out of the ideas. And ultimately, that's going to help our nation. That's what our nation needs. That's what our economy needs, for us to bring solutions that bring money to the country.
Now, in terms of leveraging technology for entrepreneurship, where do you see Malawi in the next 10 years? Or where would you want to see Malawi? Or how would you want it to look like?
That's a very good question. In the next 10 years, okay, I would want to see the adoption rate of technology increase. The business that I'm doing, one of the challenges that I've also faced is the adoption. A lot of people do not understand technology. So I would like to see a lot of people see the value of technology. Technology makes life easy. So if people see the value and they use technology, they are going to improve our society. So what I would like to see is the adoption rate increase.
All right, another big hand for Mrs. Rachel Kaunda. No, you don't leave. You can't have to be here. Yeah, she's spoken about technology reducing labor intensity. Technology makes life easier. No, na ina mukungumbera manja. Chat GPT ilo amenema assignment. Yes, we're talking about innovation and entrepreneurship. And now I want to invite in front Mr. Graham Chipande to come and join us. Could the ushers bring us an extra chair for Mr. Chipande to join the conversation? Now, I'm sure you've been following what Mrs. Kaunda was saying, because I'm going to give you a chance for you to ask her some 1 or 2 questions. Do we have questions ready? Does anybody have a question before Mr. Chipande comes? Yeah, let me just, excuse me. Can you just help us with the mic? You've got 1 hand over there, another hand at the back, 2 hands in front. Yeah.
All right, my name is Tidai Enea. I'm a student here. And my question is on the whole issue of entrepreneurship and innovation. I feel like a lot of people are innovative, but to bring it to the entrepreneurship side, it's a little bit hard. And also, a lot of people have entrepreneurship skills, but there isn't much innovation to impact Malawi. So what would you say would be the best way to bridge that?
A big hand, that's a very wonderful.
My name is Jeremiah Nkata. I'm a graduate from University of Malawi, a startup social research and innovator. I would like to comment on what you've said and also partly answer the question from this person. Yeah, I think we've been talking of innovation in Malawi since the universities were made in this country. So there have been speculation in Zuni muntu wabangaja good, kupole muntu wabangaja good, kumasti muntu wabangaja good. At the end of the day, we don't see that huge impact. To me, as a social innovator and research, I see that our innovations like this bridge. When we talk of innovation, we only talk about science. But when it comes to adoption, it's in the mentality of people. Hence, we bring in the issue of social scientists, because social scientists understand the mentality. So we can talk of, for instance, drones. If you go in the villages and the churches, you hear, it's satanic, it's this and this. So to understand better is the work of social scientists. So I would like to see a space like this having more of social scientists to bridge that gap. Accumulation and adoption of any innovation depends on the mentality of people. And on the question of people having ideas, innovations, but not growing, having entrepreneurship ideas and not growing, it's also something to do with the mentality and the innovations themselves. I believe innovations must reflect the country's needs. Yeah, we can talk of robots. Robots for what? Like if we did sit down and say, why do we need robots in Malawi? Because it's a country that has not even reached the age of Britain in 1980s. So we have people still using horse in the villages. Yeah, so we need that hardcore innovation, and innovation that the majority of people can understand and adopt. So I think the innovation part lacks that impact, because what are you innovating? Does it speak to the situations in Malawi? Yeah, and on part of entrepreneurship, it's the way we view entrepreneurship itself. Someone told me that our generation has a problem which is known as an instant syndrome. Like if I start a business today, tomorrow I'm a billionaire. So you see muntu wabanka shopo, the next day antawmwida na bwana, the next day you don't care about customer service. Do a bwana, you don't care. So just partly to answer your question. Thanks.
All right, before we take another question, just so we don't cloud your mind, would you like to comment on the issue that was raised earlier on the concerns and the linkage between entrepreneurship and innovation?
Yeah, I think to answer your question, it also, this is something that I've also learned. As young people, we need to prepare. We don't just need to have things like kutitangosisi mukila. You know, you need to prepare. Like I said, for growth accelerator, for me to be able to apply, it's because I registered the business, and it's also because I started doing something on ground. I'm sure that if I had not registered the business and I just sent my application, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity. So as innovators, if we are looking for funding to support our ideas, we need to prepare that when investors come, there are so many questions that investors ask, and I am a witness of them. There are so many questions that investors ask. They are putting in their money. What is it that is going to come out? Yes, you have a big idea, but then you also need to prepare. Do your research really well. Do customer interviews. See that your idea, are people really going to buy the idea? And also, there are so many opportunities out there with the internet. We have LinkedIn, Facebook, and other social media platforms that people are posting so many opportunities. And it's a pity that it's only other countries that are applying for these opportunities. You go into meetings, you only find that you are the only Malawian. So we lack that preparation. We need to prepare, because for you to be shortlisted for such opportunities, that means you have something that you're doing on ground. So when you have an idea, look for opportunities, and also when you see that opportunity, prepare for you to be accepted into that opportunity. I think he also answered part of the question as well.
Okay, do you have any questions?
My name is Bright. I have a question. My question is, when you were starting up your company, what are some of the mistakes that you have made? And when you look back and you say, I would have done this different, and I would like to learn from you so that I should not make the same mistakes. Thank you.
Why are you calling them mistakes? Sometimes you want to do something and you have 10 tries and succeed on the 11th. You just discovered 10 ways how you could not. So they're not mistakes. Okay. Yeah, another question? Would you want to take that? Before we have one. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the mistakes that I made, like I said, when I was starting, I didn't have some equipment, and also there was a client. I can give you an example of this client. He wanted us to do drone videography and photography. So I don't have that expertise, but I'm a drone company and I just want sales, you know? So what I did was to find someone to do that job on my behalf, and I went with him, of course. And it happened that after we did the job, the client didn't pay for the service that time. He took time to pay. So this person that I had found kept on pushing me, and we had arguments over this. And I realized that if I want to work with someone, I need to do a contract. I need to agree with them before I do the work. There are some things that I don't have expertise on, but we have a client that wants us to do the thing. It's okay for me to outsource, but I need to draft a contract with them before we go into the business. So yeah, that's one of, I can say, a mistake that I made and what I learned from it.
She's very clever because she went on to tell us what she learned. Because that's what I wanted to ask her. I'm a communications expert, so we don't look at the negative. So I was about to ask her to say, what did you learn from that? So that's what we're interested in, not the mistake that she made. Okay? So it's about the lessons learned. We had another hand.
Okay. My name is Dingiswayo Kapondo. I'm a student here. And my question is, the time you were establishing your company was in 2021, right? And Malawi, since that time, has been facing economic headwinds. These headwinds actually benefit other institutions like banks because the inflation, the interest rates, but they kill small enterprises. How did your company manage to overcome these headwinds and to allow you to reach where you are right now? Thank you.
Mr. Dingiswayo, Mr. Chipande is a banker here. So watch your mouth. Okay.
Yeah, to agree, I should agree to what you're saying because I did meet so many challenges within this period, especially Forex. The drones that I use, I outsource. And I had challenges with getting my drones because there was no Forex. And yeah, it did affect my business because it took time for me to actually purchase that drone to come to Malawi. So there are some challenges that we really can't work on, like for the Forex issue, there's nothing really I could do but wait. And that also affected my business as well. But I managed to get the drone after some time, and I think we can look at having our own drones manufactured here in Malawi as a solution because that would cut a need to import some of the materials that we need for our innovations.
Okay, there was a hand. Let's get one last hand. I know we've got a lot of questions, but now the very reason why we have such kind of people come to this event is that you have an interface with them, you establish relations with them, you get the email addresses, the telephone numbers. I know there are a lot of brilliant minds out there, as I said. You've got ideas on entrepreneurship, on innovation, and we need to keep this conversation running. But we'll get one last question. We also have Mr. Chipande here. We also need to tap from the wealth of knowledge that he has, and we're also going to have an opportunity to also ask him questions. So let's have the last question.
Okay. My name is Daniel Samira. I heard her saying that one of the problems she had to face with our organization is that the adoption of technology in Malawi is too raw. A lot of people says that. What does your organization do so that to this generation or the coming generation, so that we might reach that day that everyone shall say that actually technology in Malawi, people are a little bit advanced. What do you do?
Okay, that's a very good question. So what we are doing now with the farmers, we have partnered with organizations that already have a group of farmers that work with. So now it's easy because they already have a relationship with the organization that we have partnered with. So it's easy for them to now accept our technology. But also, for us to reach to people, we need to market. So we are also looking into ways how best we can market our product to reach to a lot of Malawians, for them to know that we exist, that we are doing a solution that can actually help their sectors. So we have a lot of work to do with marketing. You can only invite someone that you know that you have an idea of what they do. If they don't know you, they are not going to invite you. So we are trying to be known, trying to market our product to different people, for them to actually know who we are and what we do and the value that we're doing. So the other thing that we can look at is value proposition. Make sure that the value is clear. When you are going to a farmer, mapping is a difficult word for someone who hasn't experienced any GIS or something of that sort. So for me to go to a farm, I can't tell them that I want to map your land. They will not understand what I'm saying. I need to simplify the language. I need to communicate the value in the simplest form way possible. So that's also something that we can work on to increase the adoption rate.
All right, another big hand for Mrs. Kaunda. She's still going to be here with us. Now, as I stated earlier on, that we also need to tap in from the wealth of knowledge that Mr. Chipande has. Mr. Chipande currently heads digital banking, among other services at Standard Bank. He's also worked for international organizations. He also serves in various boards in various organizations in Malawi. But now, first things first, from the digital aspect. What is your view in terms of the role of innovation and entrepreneurship in driving Malawi's economy now?
Thank you, Pastor. So I think when you look at a lot of the challenges that we face now, and somebody else talked about leapfrogging technology and some of the things that we can do. So when I interact now with my 4-year-old, by the way, he knows everything. You can't teach him anything. He knows exactly what's what. He's able to operate his tablet. He knows his mom's password somehow. But so many things that he can be able to get to. Now, the reason why I bring that up is the skills, the independence and the skills that he's got are helping him to now solve many challenges by himself. Previously, when we were raising kids, Rachel, you will relate to this, is maybe to buy yourself some free time, you have to distract them with something, whether it's a device or TV or something like that. Now, through these kind of things that stimulate them, he's able to find ways to entertain himself. Now, why do I bring up that challenge? Technology, digitization, and things like that offer us ways to be able to figure out how to solve challenges. If you look at mobile money and the birth of that, it was solved by a challenge of saying, I need to send money home to the people in the village, but I don't want the minibus driver to take part of it or play the lottery because he might take some of it and use it for drinks. If he doesn't arrive at the destination or there's problems, how do we find a reliable way? And I think when you look at Malawi, a nation of 21 million people with an employment rate as high as it is, right? Those are the challenges that we should be looking at digitization and technology to make life easier for. So as you've got labs like this, Rachel tells you, and I was very fascinated, by the way, that you studied public health administration. You said, right? Medical administration. Health sciences. And then you end up flying drones, right? Now, that came from meeting a need in the community, because she said you went and worked in a mining company next, again, very far from health sciences. But she was applying her skill set and using transferable skills to help solve challenges where they're applicable. And digital technologies and digital tools help us to do that. And that's why, for me, when we look at embracing digitization, it's about bringing banking closer to you, making it cheaper, making it more accessible so that it can solve your problems. Banking is not sexy. It's the stuff that you do with the money once you get it that's now exciting and helps us to solve those challenges.
Right, Rachel, you mentioned that one of the things you learned from the Mandela Fellowship from the US is that the innovation and entrepreneurship is needs-based. Would you say that's something we don't have in Malawi that is hindering us from leveraging entrepreneurship and innovation to drive our economy?
Yeah, I think the solutions that we are developing, like for example the drones, there are so many countries that are using drones, and they are using different types of drones, which for me, I cannot use them here because the challenges that we are facing here require other specific type of drones. So yes, you can bring the technology, but also think of how uniquely can you use that technology to solve the country's challenges, the country's unique problems. For example, in healthcare, I can give an example of healthcare. The US has challenges in healthcare. Malawi has challenges in healthcare, but our challenges are totally different. And if you bring a solution to solve just general healthcare, you are not going to answer to Malawi's healthcare problems. So, for example, we had an idea of helping farmers using satellite imagery. This idea is big. I'm telling you, it's a $1 billion idea. But when it comes to Malawi, we are looking at smallholder farmers. Smallholder farmers have, for argument's sake, 10 hectares or less. They use a hoe to farm. So if I'm bringing a satellite imagery to analyze that land, it's going to take me a lot of money. It's going to take me a lot of time for me to be able to do the analysis for that land because it's very small. But we have satellite companies that are making a lot of money out of farmers in South Africa, for example, because they have vast land that they are growing crops, and it's easy for them to tell that this area is affected by this type of disease because they can see it from a satellite imagery. So for me, what I can do is use a drone because now a drone comes now to check for smaller farms. So I think it's very important. The technology is there, but bring technology that answers to our own problems, our specific problems, and people are going to buy your product if you do that. Thank you.
All right. Ena amakambira za GIS anayankhira mukumva zikumveka zimenezo zamugwereza muntu tu ma research ideas inakuti also swama sciences koma ndikumva ndikanakanga zimeze paiti ma studies tabwino meti ngatola apa Yeah. Now, Graham, from your experience in leadership and development, which is something that you have done a lot, what do you think are the greatest or biggest barriers holding back innovation in Malawi?
For me, one of the greatest barriers holding back innovation, and I think you alluded to it here in the front row, is sharing of those ideas and getting them to scale. So if you've got a great idea, it needs to then, as they say, wash its own face. And usually it means people need to adopt it and it needs to be heard about. But just like you talked about there to say you might be an expert in one field, but you don't know about marketing, you don't know about finance, you don't know about innovation. And that's where collaboration comes together. There's that old saying, half a loaf is better than none. And all those cliches about how you can go fast if you go alone, but you go further if you go together. And it's figuring out how to collaborate. But also, I love how Rachel shared one of those questions about mistakes that they learn. Anticipate what could go wrong, right? So you've got people like that have paid school fees, and you've got access to these. Use those opportunities to start to learn, but also plan and anticipate what are the challenges that you can have so that as you're bringing collaborators along, everybody knows what the rules are and what they should be able to play by. Because having a fair landscape, and I think that's what we always try and advocate towards policymakers, make sure the rules of the game are clear and they're fair, and allow everybody to be able to play. People of different talents will excel to different abilities, but as long as the landscape is fair, then it allows for collaboration. And that's what we're really trying to do, to make sure that if you're coming there now with that knowledge, you're able to protect your intellectual property, for example. If you're coming there with your capital, you're able to protect your investors. And that's why we as licensed institutions are coming into informal spaces like this now to be able to help share that knowledge, break down those barriers, and make innovation a little bit more accessible, but also sometimes a little bit more fail-proof. And spaces like this, because I know when we did a tour earlier on, we saw you actually have an intellectual property library, right, where you can be able to gain some of these things. So those already are some of the things that can help you to enhance how you protect some of your innovations, how you can think of partners. But collaboration, I see as the biggest barrier, and that's what we spend a lot of time trying to talk to policymakers about.
Okay, now this one I'm going to go to both of you, but I'm going to start with you because you are a banker. Ding are settled there, and I know this is what so many people out there think, that when inflation rises, interest rates are high, bankers like you are dancing on my piano, happy, we're making money. But I know there's so many things that actually govern that, and one of the areas that you're an expert in is policy formulation. Now, my interest, although you're in the private sector, but I know in terms of government and other regulations, they play a big role, maybe in corporate. How best, and this goes to both of you, how best do you believe or think that public policy can better support startups and small businesses to thrive in an economy like Malawi? I'll start with you.
So this answer is going to sound maybe counterintuitive, but make it easy to solve disputes, right? So when Rachel got into a beef with this guy who wasn't paying her, now she learned, she said next she's got a contract, she can be able to enforce those things. But how easy is it for you to say, hey, Chief, I did this work for you, we agreed on 30 days, now pay me? Is there a small business council? Is there a better business council? So that we don't need to spend a lot of time arbitrating these things. So make rules clear and fair for everybody. Again, that's one of the ways that we can be able to do that. The second piece is really around protecting consumers, right? Because you've got a lot of people who create innovations or things like that, but then when they get to the market, they don't have the rights of the consumers in mind. So is your product safe? Can it be consumed within the laws of the land? All of those things that we start now to talk to policymakers about, say, as you allow innovation, make sure that you put these built-in safety protocols into the design and help people as they're innovating. So you'll see, I don't know how many of you guys are part of village banks now. Don't remember that, right. So there was a big increase you saw with village banks. And we said, you guys, this is the end of the banking sector. We're going to show you. Because, you know, you've been having all the fun, like Dingy said. And then there were a lot of tears, right? Because all the controls and things like that that we've got in place as sectors to protect consumers weren't there when you had informal bodies like village banks offering these services, huge returns, but they didn't have these things kind of built in. So that's what we also say, that as you allow innovators to explore and look at different areas where they can be able to have an effect, think of the consumer at the end, because some of these products are potentially dangerous. I saw 3D printing machines here. I'm sure you guys have got protections that are already put in place, but you can potentially produce weapons in a sector like this. What safeguards have you got in place to make sure that as you're fostering and encouraging innovation, then you're also not, you know, causing harm to wider society?
Rachel, you've been there, you've done that. I'm sure the journey has not been smooth. I'll get back to my question. Have you come across certain challenges where you felt if these had been put in place owing to our public policies, then perhaps I would have done it much smoother?
Yeah, so I can talk about the good things that are there with the government. Number one, it's the business registration system. It's very good. You can register your business within hours within a day you can get your certificate, which is good. I think the best thing that the governments can do is creating an enabling environment for entrepreneurs to come into and be successful in. When it comes to us as entrepreneurs, we also have a role to learn what is there, what is the government offering. For example, with the business registration, MRA does not tax, is not supposed to tax you in your first 3 years of operation, which most people don't know. And they end up fearing to register their business because they are thinking, I'm going to end up paying taxes with the little profit that I'm making. But there are other things, initiatives that the government and the government especially has put in place to help businesses. And when it comes to MRA, it's also one of our challenge because we end up paying a lot of taxes now. When we are purchasing drones, for example, I had to pay a lot of money for me to get my drone into the country. So if they try to also create enabling environment for startups, they try to see small businesses and what they require and try to remove some of the taxes or at least just try to minimize maybe the process. That will help entrepreneurs to now think of getting their business registered and moving with their businesses.
All right, thank you very much. Before now, I have one final question for the both of you, but I would also just like to invite the audience and those online, you can also share your questions if you have any questions for Rachel, if you have any questions for Graham. And to our audience, let me just take you through again the profile of Mr. Chipande so that maybe you might actually get it clear as to what questions you might want to ask him or what insights you might want to get from him. So as I said, he heads digital banking at Standard Bank and is also a seasoned development leader and policy expert. His interests are in policy, innovation, but also entrepreneurship that we are talking about. Now, as I stated earlier, I have one final question for them, but before I pose that question, I'd like to open the floor again, specifically if you have any questions for Graham. There's a hand there. There's a hand, another one there.
My name is Harry Pio, and I'm quite interested on the financing part. As entrepreneurs, especially for startups, capital is a big issue, and I've heard she said about growth facilitator, but then apart from that, like for someone who is also interested maybe to get funding or a loan from the bank or whatsoever, it's quite a challenge from the banks because they are much collateral based. And for example, like National Bank, for startups, the minimum is almost 50 million, of which you're also supposed to have a collateral equivalent to that money, of which is a challenge. Perhaps if you can enlighten us on other ways of getting finances which are available in our Malawian society for startups, apart from the growth accelerator program. Yeah.
Thank you. I like that question because you mentioned another bank as being the ones who require a lot. But no, I'm just joking. So I want to answer your question with a small story of how I got my first small business loan as an entrepreneur. And it was a small business loan of 200 kwacha. You're looking at me now and say, what do you do with 200 kwacha? It was a long time ago. I cut all the gray hair, but back then, 200 kwacha could buy you a packet of frizzes, right? You guys are still doing frizzes now, right? Yeah, good. So I used to love frizzes as a kid, and I used to eat a lot of it, but I wanted now to eat for free. So I thought if I start selling to my friends, I can have the frizzes. Now, at 5 years old, I couldn't get a bank. There was no growth accelerator or anything else. So I went to my mom, right? Mom, can I borrow $200? Buy me some frizzes. And mom had a soft spot for me. She was the one who was suffering and buying the frizzes anyway. She had very little to lose, right? In terms of the risk-reward relationship. She could literally give me that money. Now, eventually, I started to make a little bit of money. The business was getting a little bit more serious. And I wanted to buy now a cooler box to put the stuff in. So then I had to go and ask Dad, because it was a bit more money for a cooler box. We had a bit more of a conversation. He gave me that. And then eventually I wanted to buy a deep freezer to put it in Dad's shop and sell cold drinks. Now, all that was below the age of 7, but it gave me the interest in finances, making money, entrepreneurship, but it also tells you around some of the sources that we could be able to use to get some of your startup capital. Now, that business didn't grow. I don't have a massive Sobo distributorship or anything else like that. I drank the capital after a while, but that's another challenge and a lesson from entrepreneurship that you'll learn. So the reason why I say a lot of these kind of inventions start with friends and family money, because you remember that Rachel will tell you that even when she was going to Growth Accelerator, she'd had something, she'd registered, whether it's savings from doing the paper round, whether it was money that she got for graduation or something else like that, but she had a few savings put together that I think maybe she bought the first drone with, right? Just like the first frizzes that, I'd sell to my friends came from a packet that came at home and we started distributing. So friends and family and the money from people around you is usually your first source of startup and to prototype. Now, I want to tell you about another facility that we're also working together with UNDP on, and I'm hoping you guys have heard it, called the Zanchito facility, right? And that's meant for you guys now who've got nothing, and you're starting up. Because those grants go up to 3,000 euros, right? And it's, again, results-based. So the first stage, they'll say, okay, what's your idea? What do you want to do? Here's a little bit of money, and it's free money to go and help you, maybe to register a business, put your idea on paper, help somebody to frame it up, and then do that. The next set of money is to do a prototype. Then the next level of investment that you'll get is maybe to do a test of your market. Because by the time you're coming to a bank, Rachel will tell you, investors ask you more and more questions. When I asked my mom for that 200 kwacha, very few questions. Dad, for a little bit more to buy the cooler box, more questions. For space now in the shop, again, more questions. Who's going to pay for electricity? What's going to happen about this? Who's going to look after this while you're away at school? So all of those things now start to evolve and develop with your experience as you're going through on your entrepreneurship journey. So I mentioned friends and family, there's crowdfunding, there's the Zanchito program, but also other sources of blended finance that we're working with. And I'm sure through some of the seniors here, they can also help to connect you with a wide ecosystem of other funders that have got resources available for you to access.
Hello, my name is Kumbo Mindia. I'm an innovator, and I'm also a member here at the UNIPOD. My question is on carbon credits. So as banks, have you started having conversations around loaning money or investing in innovators that are eliminating carbon from the environment? Because as we understand, for every carbon that you eliminate from the environment, there's $1 attached to it. So as innovators or in that field, have you considered giving up loans or investment? Because I've seen about 3 or 4 projects in Malawi who are worth thousands in US dollars, but on carbon credit market. So have you considered or started having conversations around that? Thank you.
The short answer to that question is yes. So not only have we considered and started having conversations, there's deals that are currently on the table, but we've also made investments to make it easier for innovators like you. So we've launched, and I think we'll be going public with it very, very soon, something called the Sustainability Academy. And it talks to things like green finance, renewable energy finance, carbon credits, water savings, and all of these things around the sustainability economy. Because as Rachel said, this thing is a $1 trillion industry, right? And all of these things that you can tap into. So by having an awareness of how those things work, it means by the time you're coming to have conversations with banks, other investors and things like those, you can talk about them. Because carbon credits is a big buzzword right now, right? In terms of how is it generated, how is it stored, who pays for them, who trades them. And once you understand all of that language within that ecosystem, it's very easy to come and then have a structured conversation with other people within that industry. So yes, we're looking at it.
My name is Beta Magawa. Ms. Kaunda said that one of the problems she faced was accessing Forex. And we have seen a lot of business, most of them promising in Malawi, fail due to access to Forex. So my question is, how is the Standard Bank leveraging digital banking services to help young entrepreneurs access Forex? And another question is, Standard Bank being a national organization, is there like a money swapping service whereby you can pay here and you access the money in another country and buy what you are supposed to buy?
Thank you very much. So please, everybody, give a big hand for Beta. He helped me to get here when I was lost and helped me to find my way. So Beta, I like that question. I'm going to start with that last part of it and demystify it, because as an international organization, yes, we are the largest bank in Africa by footprint. We've got presence in more than 14 different markets, but we don't have a magic wallet, unfortunately, or offer those kind of services. And what do I mean? If you look at the kwacha, this is how foreign exchange works. We use kwachas here because you can do stuff with them. If I give you Zim dollars, can you spend them here? You can spend them in Zimbabwe. Tanzanian shillings, same thing there, right? But you might have a value for Tanzanian shillings because you might say, I know somebody who goes to Tanzania to buy cars. I can sell him those ones. Now, how many people do we know who have that conversation? Say, okay, with this Malawi kwacha, I know somebody who goes to Malawi frequently to visit the lake, do this, trade, everything else. And that's where that imbalance exists, right? So the reality is that every year, roughly, we import about $3 billion worth of stuff, right? Whether it's fuel, fertilizer, food, Netflix subscriptions, but it comes up to roughly about $3 billion. And when we've toiled hard, surveying fields, taking tourists to the lake, making sugar, tobacco, and all that good stuff, we generate about $1 billion, right? Now, you don't have to be as smart as all of you guys here to figure out that there's a problem. And that's why the kwacha, every kind of couple of years, does this against the value of the dollar, right? So what is it that we're doing to help entrepreneurs to bridge that divide? So through our digital banking and payment services, and I have to make a correction to Besta here before I get into trouble, and the head of digital banking thinks I fired them. I'm the head of business and commercial banking, and one of the areas that we deal with is also digital banking. And one of the platforms and services that we offer is our online e-commerce platforms. So if you look at one of the young entrepreneurs that we partnered with called CoacFit. How many of you guys have seen CoacFit? You can check them out on TikTok, they're on Instagram and everywhere else. They make fitness equipment and fitness gear, very much, and he was an engineering student actually. I think he even studied here at Mubas, Liko, yeah. So you can find him. But anyway, you can learn more about their business. If you look up our growth conversations on YouTube, you'll learn about how him and his girlfriend started during COVID, business straight out of university like that. And now they've gone multinational, they've got an online shop in Zambia, and they're earning dollars, right? By exporting equipment made in Kanengo from scrap in Malawi out there. They're exporting their brand in terms of fitness wear, and they're using our platforms to generate that Forex to be able to bring in here. We're assisting other entrepreneurs do exports in things like agriculture. I think you guys might have seen the greenhouses that we've got by the airport. Right now, we're exporting vegetables through that platform, and again, they're able to use our matchmaking services to do that. But also through our Africa-China banking platform. So we have a strategic partnership with the world's largest bank, the Industrial Commercial Bank of China, ICBC. And through that partnership, we were able to assist Malawian entrepreneurs producing things like soya, tea, other legumes to access markets there, but even ones who are producing and polishing gemstones. So all of that commerce now is made possible through platforms that we can provide, and it means that even now to sell your products to China, you don't actually have to go there because we've got agents who we can contract for you, who help you with legal agreements and all of those things to be able to take your business there. So that's what we're trying to do to help bridge that gap. But we don't farm soya or things like those. We depend on young, brilliant minds like yourselves or like Rico and Jen to create those products, and we'll provide you with the services to be able to solve those needs and meet your customers at their destination.
All right, thank you. As I promised earlier, now I'm going to give you a question. One question that goes to both of you. I'm going to ask you to give us your final remarks, but in form of answering a question. If you were to leave the young Malawians gathered in this room, if you were to leave the young Malawians following us online with one call to action for actually building the country's future through innovation, entrepreneurship, what would that call to action be? I'll start with you, Rachel.
Thank you so much. What I can say is that the tech industry is very young in Malawi. There are so many opportunities. Find a mentor to help you with your ideas. Stay curious. Have a listening ability. We are not leaders of tomorrow. We are leaders of today. So Malawi depends on us for it to grow. Thank you.
Very hard to follow that advice. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and pick three. So it's thank you, welcome, and go. Right? So first of all, thank you for taking the time to come out here. You've got many different things that you've been doing on a Friday afternoon that I'm sure are equally as stimulating and exciting. But you've made an investment in yourself, right? As Rachel said, it's an opportunity for you guys to network, create connections, get new ideas. But by coming here, and I understand you pay a membership to be part of the UNIPOD, that's an investment in your future and in Malawi's future. So first of all, thank you very much. Welcome, right? And welcome to the real world, because this is it. You guys are part of it now. We're in this together. And when I keep saying nobody is coming, it means nobody is coming. And, you know, I love Rachel's words. You're the leaders of today, not tomorrow, right? So welcome already to the table where we've got challenges to solve, we've got things like that. And we don't need bystanders and passengers. We need people who can get involved, share their ideas. And you remember, there's no such thing as a failure. Thank you very much for that, Bester. I'm going to tell my boss that when we have performance reviews. I've just learned ways of not to do those things. So get involved. And the final piece of advice is go. Now that you've heard, now that you've seen these things, go take action. Go inspire others. Go take a friend. Go take that idea that's been on paper or in a notebook and somewhere else and put it into action. Because the help that you need is going to come from somebody right next to you, right? Not somebody a million miles away or a little bit further on, but somebody right next to you. But it requires you to get up, take risks, and take actions. So go. Thank you.
A big hand. All right, and I would also like to thank you for the wonderful time that you've actually given us just coming in front. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Graham. Another big hand for the two, our guests of honor, but also our guest speaker. Now we move on to the next segment. Who is excited to win? Who feels lucky this afternoon? Who feels lucky this afternoon? Are you ready to win? Okay, now it's time for Spin to Win giveaway. We have names of people who registered. I don't know. Are you ready to spin? What, wait. What are you worried about? I'm hearing so many murmuring. What are you worried about? You didn't register, but your name is not there. Oh, okay. Don't worry. We will see We'll see. UNIPOD is a home of innovation. We'll see what we're going to do with everybody who registered, but your name. No, I promise you. I promise you. Now, are you ready to spin? Yes. All right, let's go for the first spin and see who the lucky winner is. Leah. No, that's not Leah. McWilliams Matewere. Who's McWilliams? Woo, 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 woo. Now, what does McWilliams get? What does McWilliams get? A t-shirt. A t-shirt. McWilliams is going to get a t-shirt from the UNIPOD. Now, let's go for our second spin and see who the lucky winner is going to be. Okay, our second spin, and there we go. Yamikani Maere. We have Yamikani Maere. Ah, a big hand for Yamikani Maere. And Yamikani also walks away with a t-shirt. And let's go for our third spin. Let's go for our third spin, and we go. Let's see who the lucky winner is. And we have, is that Jones or James? James Bonali. Where's James? Where's James? James is not in the room. James is not in the room. No, you're not James. James is a biblical name. You wouldn't be James. You wouldn't be James. Okay, she says she's James. Okay, does James get to walk away with a t-shirt, or we go to the next one? Or is he supposed to be here? For them to qualify. Yeah, you don't just register. They're supposed to be here, because apart from the t-shirt, what's more important is the lesson and valuable lessons that actually we have picked from here. Now let's see who replaces James Bonali. And Innocent Raphael. Where's Innocent Raphael? Innocent Raphael? Do we have Innocent Raphael in here? No, we don't have Innocent Raphael. Let's go for another spin. Let's go for another spin. Let's see the third winner. Miriam Kalanda. Miriam Kalanda. Miriam Kalanda. What does Miriam get? Miriam also gets a t-shirt. A big hand for Miriam. Let's go on, let's go on, let's go on. Who's the fourth winner? Evidence Muyato. Evidence Muyato. Oh, she's here. A big hand for Evidence Muyato. Let's spin, let's spin, let's spin, let's spin. And let's keep the t-shirts coming. Let's keep the wheel spinning, let's keep the t-shirts coming. Is that Rankin? Rankin Chisambi. Ah, there is Rankin. Rankin also goes away with a t-shirt. Let's spin, let's spin, let's spin. Is he really hurry? I don't trust him. Okay, let's spin. The last one. That's the last spin. We're changing prices to notepads. From t-shirts. Haginze bonizashe mukwindiza. Is that Zimbabwean? Ah, okay. Congratulations, Shamwari. I don't know how I would say congratulations in Shona. Okay, let's spin. He goes away with a notepad. And we have Happy Mororo. No, you're not happy. Happy is not here. We spin again. Let's see who's the other person who walks away with a notepad. Tayan Thomas Jack Manonga. Who is Jack Manonga? Really? Neighbors? Nah, you know, one of you guys, you've hacked into the system, you two guys. How does that happen? Spin. Faustina Yasulu. Congratulations, Faustina. She walks away with a notepad. Let's keep the wheel spinning. Who is the other person? Doreen Gary. Doreen Gary? Okay, congratulations, Doreen. A big hand for Doreen. Why are you not being happy for Doreen? You jealous people. Spin the wheel. And I was maybe change some now. Hey. Ibrahim Stonard. There's Ibrahim. He goes with a notepad. Now let's have one. Oh, that's it. All right. Now, congratulations to our lucky winners. All those who actually are going to go away with T-shirts, and some of you are going to go away with a notepad. Right about now, allow me to invite Mr. Francis Massey, the man behind UNIPOD, the man behind these wonderful events, this talk series, to come and give us his closing remarks. A big hand for Mr. Massey.
All right, let us give another big round of applause to our invited guests. Yes. That's much better now. That's much better. Let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming to this session. First of all, much thanks to our invited guests. When you had the invite that you come to the UNIPOD to share the insights that you have done today, you took it that you have busy schedules, you managed to still come so that you could share with us what you have shared today. And my belief, and all our belief, is that what you have shared today, each and every one of us in this room, we're going to take it and we'll put it into practice. And I believe maybe just a few months from now, a few years from now, some of these, some of them, the audience, they'll also be sitting in the front here one day. And they can also share and testify to say, I was also one of the people that was listening to such kind of a series, and it has changed my life. And that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing, that each one of you one day can also share your stories with other people in the coming future. And also to each and every one of you that have come to the UNIPOD today, and also those that are online. I know that you are busy. Some of you are students, maybe you had classes. Some of you maybe had assignments, but you have made it possible that you come. And this is the spirit that we need, because I always tell people that as UNIPOD, we have all these nice equipment you see, the computer lab, we have the 3D printers, but all these things, having them here, without you coming to the space, is useless, right? So it needs you people to be coming over to be using this kind of equipment. A good news to share today is from the first session we had, I think I did mention about a certain program, right? The Designer Innovators Program. And I believe that some of you have applied, but through that program, we're providing funding to innovators. We're also providing mentorship to innovators. We're also providing commercialization support to innovators that have basically functional prototypes. And we have received 327 applications nationwide. So starting from the north up to the south, which is quite a big achievement compared to the first program that we did before. And I look forward, because DIP is not the first and the last program. We have so many programs at the UNIPOD. Some of them are just right there. Take some time and look through and see what or where you see yourself that you can fit and benefit in the UNIPOD. And to seeing all of you as members of the UNIPOD. If you have an innovation, please always come through, discuss with us, and see how best we can support you in your innovations. Reaching that far, allow me to take my leave for the stage. We have some food just behind there, and I'm sure that each one of you is also looking forward to that, right? Yes. Yeah, I think we have exhausted all our energy by clapping hands, right? So we need to bring it back. So we need to go down there and enjoy ourselves. All right, thank you very much. I'll give it back to the MC. Thank you.
Let's make some noise for Mr. Masi. Let's make some noise for UNIPOD. And let's make some real noise for our guest speaker and for our guest of honor, Madam Rachel and Graham Chipande. And most importantly, let's make some noise for ourselves. You've been a very wonderful audience. As Graham said, it is actually very important that you took time kusia kupanda bwezena mukuchatisa komagubera, and then you understood that when you talk about building Malawi's future, we're talking about banking on entrepreneurship, we're banking on innovation, and it's only you guys that can actually push that forward. What I'm going to do now is ask for a volunteer to come and close with a word of prayer, and after that, our media team is going to clear some space and give us directions as to where should we stand for a group photograph. So I'm going to call for a volunteer to come and close with a word of prayer. We will have a group photograph, and then we have some refreshments over there. A male volunteer this time around. Yeah.
Tubempere oya munguka mwamba tukuthokozani fwaja siku limeneyi fwaja nthawi imeneyo yopambana yomwe latha kubwera kuno ndiphunzira nzeru zosiyanasiyana. Ambuye ape mphawi nzeru zimene zikatha kupindulira ife komanso anthu osiyanasiyana kunjaku. Koposaposa tidathokoza chifukwa cha anthu amene anatenga nthawi yawo kubwera kuno kudzatiyankhula. Tingopempha kuti mmene akubwerera makomo awo akathe kuyenda bwino komanso ife pano tikathe kusaya bwino ndikuti nzeru zimene zikathe kugwira ntchito lero ndi kunthawi za nthawi moyo wathu wa siku ndi siku. Tampera ndi kusiya zonse m'manja mwanu. Amen.